Hello and welcome to Andrew Explains. Today's movie that we're going to discuss is The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. Alright, this movie is 2 hours long, as are the other two, the first one and the third one, okay? It's extremely long, and basically if you slept through this one and you went to see the next one, you wouldn't have missed out on anything, okay? So, the first hour of the movie, right, it is basically just walking from the last part of the movie ending to try to get to their home. Okay, so I'm just going to start about an hour into the movie and go from there, because that's when it gets interesting, okay? So basically, they're standing in front of a forest. It's a big forest, right? Big trees, the owl hooting, all the scary things in a forest, right? Alright, so they're in front of the forest and they're about to go in. So they're discussing it. They're saying, yeah, we need a shortcut to get in. And they're like, yeah. So the 13 dwarves made sure to check. Oh, the 13. I think it's 13. It's either 12 or 13. One of those two. Anyway, so there's 13 dwarves, and then there is Bilbo Baggins. All right, he's the Hobbit, and the others are dwarves. And everybody's racist to dwarves, alright? Okay. So, alright, now they're all caught up from the first movie. That's basically all you need to know. Anyway, so they're going in the forest. This forest is basically, is full of deranged lunatics, right? Because the forest does something to your brain which makes you go insane, okay? So, they're walking through, and they're starting to go insane, and so they're like, you know what I mean? Like, that whole deal. Like, the insane thing. But if you go to the forest, you're fine. It's just in the forest, you're... Alright, so like that. Alright, so they're walking through. So they're walking through, right? And they're just like, ooh. Going insane. They're lost. They're like, like that. Okay. So they're walking, and they're still insane. And then they suddenly come across these huge spider webs. They're just, like, draping the top of the trees. So they're just... Everybody's like, oh my gosh, please tell me that those were little spiders out there, lots of them, and they just made just a huge web. But no, that's not the case, okay? These are instead gigantic death spiders, just like, that whole deal, alright? So they're looked up, and all of a sudden, these things, like, come out, and they're like, oh no. Oh gosh, they're like that, right? So they come down, right? And they're like, and that whole deal. And they grab them, they're like, grab them all up, all right? So they got them all up, and they're like, ooh, well, they don't say anything yet. Kind of spoiled it a little bit. But anyway, I will continue. All right, so they're like, so then Bilbo comes in. He has this little ring, right? The first movie's like this big, and he's like, okay, here we go, and he puts it on, right? Not yet, cut his finger off. He just put it on, okay? So he put it on. He's like, oh gosh, invisible, alright. Okay. He's invisible, but the ring makes you go insane, so you're like, oh gosh, I'm going insane. So anyway, so he's going insane, but he's like, okay, I'm free. But then, that's what I spoiled a little, I don't know, a minute ago, whatever time was. Anyway, so he spoiled, I spoiled. Anyway, so when he has the ring on, he can hear what they're saying, right? So he's like, and they're speaking like, we want to eat these people. And he's like, oh gosh, they can speak? I thought they were just eating me. And they're like, yeah, we want to eat these people. That whole deal, right? He saves the people, they fall, but there's still no match for him. So here come the people of death, all right? Those were the beasts of death, right? But these are the people of death. Like, they're just like... in that whole deal. So these are elves, right? Pointy ears, that whole deal, alright? So they have the girl elf has her little bow, so she's like, with her little bow, being like, ooh, where are these spiders? Like, sniper ready to fire at will. So anyway, and then the other guys are just soldier elves, and, they just help with her, and they don't have any importance really at all. So anyway, so she's fired. These beasts of the sky are just dropping like crazy, and they're dead, and she's like, yay, I'm me! So she's shooting them down, and the other elves are like, that whole deal, right? So they drop, the other spiders drop dead, and then the dwarves are like, "Thank you for saving us." And then all of a sudden, the elves come out with their shackles. They're like, and they're like, "What? Why are you doing that?" It's like that whole deal, right? So they're like, "Because we want you back in our kingdom." So they're like, "No, we just want to go to our home." So they take him out, and they're like, "We're going to throw you in jail." So they just throw him in jail, right? Well, they do have a little court session with the king of elves, or that section. So they're like, "Yeah, we don't like you. Throw them in jail." So they're like, they're in jail now, right? So as they're in jail, they're like, and then the girl I was talking about before, some dwarf, I don't know what his name is, but they fell in love, and they're like, "Yeah," like that whole deal, right? Okay. So anyway, they break free, and this is where it gets interesting. All right, so the Hobbit, Bilbo. All right, so he's like, "Okay, we had an escape plan, guys." He's like, just follow me. And obviously you follow Hobbit because big feet. Anyway, so he has these barrels. They're like, "Here we go, here's a barrel. Now just get inside of it like that. Just get it." They're like, "What? Are you sure?" I don't know. They're like, I don't know. So anyway, they finally get in. He's like, "Okay, you guys ready?" And they're like, Wait, ready for what?" And then they just go right in this wave. The wave's just going, you know, like a dolphin, like, that whole deal, right? All right, so anyway, the waves are rolling, and they're like, right into these barrels, right? They're like, and these waves are rough. So the elves are like, "Oh no, we need to get those people back." So they're running, with their bows flying. The other dwarves are like, and all of a sudden, these orcs come, and these things are nasty. As I told you before, these things are just like, and they have their swords, so they're all trying to catch these dwarves, and because I told you before, I don't think, dwarves are, they're being extremely prosecuted, alright? So they're just like, "We don't like our dwarves." And the elves are like, "Dwarves die!" So the dwarves get away, they go with this human, and they go to this town, right? There's some greedy guy, some fat guy that likes to drink a lot. So anyway, he's just like, "Gulp, gulp, gulp," and the other guy's like, "Ooh, money." Like that would do, right? So they get the money. Well, those guys are just like racking in the dough with their drinking and all that whole shebang. Yeah. Anyway. So, let's see. Okay. So they get there. They arrive in a bucket of fish because they need to be snuck in. So they're like, "Oh, it's so disgusting." Like that whole deal, right? Anyway, so they get there and they're like, "Yeah, we need to get our kingdom back." And they convince the greedy king that likes to drink a lot. You know what I'm talking about? See, they're like, "Yeah, there's a bunch of gold there," and he's like, "Oh, gold? Let's go get it!" And they're like, "Oh wow, thanks." So they get on the boat, and I don't know what dwarf it is, but one of the dwarfs has to like stay behind because he's hurt, because he got shot by some arrow that has poison in it. So he's like, that whole deal, right? So they get on the boat. They're off to the mountain of Smaug now. All right. This is where it gets interesting. This is Smaug, right? He's this great, gigantic beast of fiery death. So they get there, they're like, "Okay, how do we open this door?" Because they don't even know how to open their own door anymore. So they're like, just jab it into a rock. They're like, "Ugh." And then they were like, and then all of a sudden they just give up. They just like, "We can't get in." So then Bilbo has to be like, "Oh, a key." He's like, ooh, and the door just like, and he's like, "Everybody come back!" They were like, "Yay!" They were like, "Okay, good. All right, Bilbo, you go in." And he's like, "Wait, what? I just want to hope you open this door." What? So they're like, just go in and get that, what's it called? It's like a stone, and apparently it gives you power or something. I don't know what it gives you, but it's pretty special. The dwarves, they found it digging in dirt. Anyway, it was the heart of the mountain, something like that. All right, so they continue along. That's what Bilbo does. So he's stepping through the gold. There's piles of gold everywhere, piles and piles high. So he's walking. And all of a sudden, Smaug wakes up. He's like, "Oh my gosh!" So Smaug's waking up. He's like, "Oh, who's there?" And Bill was like, "Oh gosh, ring, oh gosh." But of course, it doesn't work on the great Smaug. And Smaug's like, oh, there you are. He's like, oh my gosh, he can smell. He's a dragon. And the Smaug's like, boom, 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 boom. And then all the dwarves are like, oh gosh, charge! So they're all running, Bilbo, 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 and then they get there, and they're like, are you okay? And Bilbo's like, yeah, but there's a, and then the other guys are like, oh my gosh, there's a freaking dragon away, and he's like, ooh, more dwarves and a hobbit too. He's like flying and you know that would do it, right? He's like, so he's doing that. They're running, right? Because obviously they run because a giant fire-breathing death machine, not a machine, but animal thing coming at you. All right. So they go to the storage room of their old place and they see dead corpses on the ground. And they're like, oh god, that's disgusting. So anyway, they're like, oh, we gotta go. We just gotta go. This is disgusting. All right. So they're running. And they're like, oh my gosh, it's Smaug again! And they're falling on the ground, right? And they're trying to fight him, obviously, because with a little steel sword, you're going to go right through him. So like, it's not working. That would it, right? So then they run, and they're like, okay, let's come with a plan. Because we need a plan to defeat this great fire beast. So they're like, oh, they know. So they fill up their big caskets of gold, right? And they're like, okay. Quick, go in there. So they're running there. He's following. Try to get him, right? But alright, so they get in the room. He says some really awesome line. I forgot what it was, but it was really cool then. So he's like, dwarves or something, we are awesome. And then he pulls the lever, and then gold just like right over him. He's going, because Smaug can't swim, so he's like, oh gosh, gold. So, but eventually he figures it out in like 5 seconds. So he's like, ooh, I can swim now. So he gets out, and then he's like, I will destroy you and all your dwarves people, and I will start with that town first. That town has nothing important to them at all. But anyway, so there he's like, so he gets going. He's like, and the movie ends. This is like the best part of the whole movie. There's the end, because he's just like flying like, and then he says his line. He's like, I am fire, and I am death. That's like something like it. He's like, I'm kidding, there was no eagles. Anyway, I wish there were. That would have been awesome. Anyway, because the eagles are awesome. But anyway, so that's basically us in the movie. And the dwarves are there, and they're like, oh no, what have we done? Poor people! We should have listened to everybody in our path! But they didn't. And that's where it leads over to the third one. But that's all I have for you now. Thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe.